everybody, and welcome to the Nightfly Podcast with me, Dave Juskow, our monthly audio, video, combined podcast. Oh, this is going to be a good one. You're really going to like it. I got the guy on, finally, who makes the best buffalo wings in New York City. All that and more on the Nightfly, and it all starts right now. Well, I hope everybody's doing all right and having a nice week. I have had just like a regular week as usual. We're pretty much doing nothing, although, I technically went out twice to Jersey. I'll tell you all about that next week. This is our video, our monthly video, audio podcast, which is always lots of fun, hopefully. This is the time where I do interview people, because that's the way it's done now. Things would be totally different if there was no pandemic. People would be at my house, or I'd be at their houses, or we'd be down at the Comedy Cellar. But this has changed everything around. But Zoom is okay, and that's the way we're doing it now, which allows me to bring you a video-related podcast. We are going to be talking to Patrick Hughes, who, if you've listened to this podcast over the past 6 years and over 300 episodes, you thought I had some sort of arrangement with this guy who was the owner, or is the owner, of Scruffy Duffy's, the greatest buffalo chicken wings on the planet. And today, he's going to tell us how the sauce was made, how it all came to fruition, why they're so delicious, and what lies ahead in the future. You might have read about them in the post. We'll talk more about it in a second. I will just tell you that this week, Joe Allen from Joe Allen's, if you remember, I've talked about this before. I tell you that classic story. Now, Joe Allen's is a place on Restaurant Row, which is on 46 between 8th and 9th. That's Restaurant Row. That's what they call it. 46th Street between 8th Avenue and 9th Avenue. It's a bunch of restaurants, and it's a really nice block in, Hell's Kitchen, which is a dump. But it's held up. The block is fun, and it's got a lot of restaurants, and one of them is Joe Allen's. And Joe Allen's, as you know, has been around, or as you may remember, has been around for a really long time, and it's a place you're supposed to go. They cater to the before and after theater crowd. And you know how I love that. Catering to the theater crowd is all up in Dave Juskow's ass. That sounded disgusting. But so this place is a place, me and Larry Moss, the great acting teacher, and my friend Vincent would always go to after show, and their whole decor was failed Broadway shows, ones that lasted a day or two, and that's what decorated their wall. So already it's a pretty fun place to take that risk and just put failed shows on the wall. It's a gutsy call when you are opening a Broadway-themed restaurant, in the sense of staying open late so you can eat after the theater ends, so that could be like an 11 o'clock meal if you're seeing a musical. And I remember telling you the one story, and I've had multiple times there, when I'm there with Larry Moss, everybody comes over, I think was it Christian Slater or was it Leonardo DiCaprio? I don't know, one of those two came over to our table like, Larry, must have been Christian Slater the way I'm telling it. Great to see you, he's the king there. So everyone goes there. It's been a staple for years. I guess it'll stay open, but the owner, Joe Allen, who I didn't even know was an actual guy, just died last week, but he was almost 90. But a sad time for a guy that, really I think enjoyed owning that restaurant to die, going out like that when things are so bleak. That's a bummer. You almost want him to die like a year before so he doesn't have to see this. I keep thinking about the people that have died before this, like my dad or anybody. I'm like, well, I'm glad they didn't have to sit through this. Not that it matters either way, but I guess there's certain people. It's just kind of funny. That's what I was thinking about yesterday. I mean, I'm getting so morose because I'm spending so much time alone. I'm just thinking about, I wonder what the people would think who are dead now about this. I mean, I don't know why I'm thinking that way. But so that Joe Allen story I was telling you about was my mother and I and my sister went to go see An American in Paris, the stage musical version of the Oscar-winning movie with Gene Kelly and I believe Sid Charisse. It won Best Picture of the Year, I think 1950 something or so. It's horribly dull, but the Broadway play was pretty good. That's the classic story, if you remember, that my mother, it's mostly a ballet, and my mother and I were there, and we recognized the guy who was the lead, who was in the production of Romeo and Juliet that we had seen at the ballet. And then I ran into the owner of the Gotham Comedy Club, Chris Mazzilli, who's, very Italian, very, you got the three-piece suit, the old school, like this, hey, We run into him, and he goes, how you doing? I'm like, oh, this is my mom. And she goes, I said, we just went to see An American in Paris. He goes, how was it? He goes, oh, my God, David and I totally recognize the lead guy from the ballet. And I'm like, all right, shut up. So that's that play, let alone I call that place, and I say, we want to make a reservation. Just trying to figure out. He goes, "What are you? Can I just ask you a question?" The guy answering the phone goes, "Can I just ask you a question?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you going to see a play?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "Which play?" And I go, "An American in Paris." "Okay, you need to make a 10:45 reservation." And I go, "Well, I'm also with my elderly 10:45." Like he had it all figured out. He's like, "That will give you they knew the running time of every play." How long it would take to walk over there. I think I must have told him I was with my elderly mother, so he factored that in. But how long it would take, what time to play over, and what time you needed to make a reservation. And boy, he was spot on. Why wouldn't they be? This is what that place, Joe Allen's, did. And when I was thinking about that when the guy died, I was just thinking about, man, I've had so many really great experiences at restaurants, and even the bad ones are fun because I can complain about them, which, of course, is how this podcast was launched, complaining about restaurants and stuff, that it made me miss restaurants. Now, as we're taping this today, they're on Friday the 12th, they're opening the restaurants today, 25%. I also heard, David Tell called me last night and said the governor is going to extend the time from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, which is a little bit helpful. Why not just extend it to midnight at that point? But we also feel he's doing it because he's trying to cover up this cover-up, which I don't know whether you know if you're from out of town. Apparently, he covered up a lot of the numbers for, what do you call it, the when old people go to a place like, those nursing homes and the deaths that happen, and he covered up a bunch of the numbers for what reason, I'm still not sure, but apparently there is a big cover-up, and they're trying to discover it. I've told you this guy is a bag of shit, Governor Cuomo. There's something very suspicious about him, and this should, in fact, once they figure out what's actually been going on, stop any plans he has for running for president, which, of course, is fine with me. So he's agreed to keep everything open till 11. And the reason why I'm upset about all this is because, again, this guy is bad news, right? All right, so he got us through a little bit of the pandemic. His demeanor was nice and made people comfortable. But what he's been doing to New York City, and you can't just blame the mayor on this. Of course he can, but we all know he sucks. Everybody knows. Like I said, if I ever have on this podcast, I'd probably love to talk to him. He's probably a delightful guy. But what this guy's done to New York City is just, he's destroyed it, Governor Cuomo. I don't think he's a fan of New York City. I don't think his father was a fan of New York City. And they subsequently really have destroyed New York City. Will it bounce back? Of course it will. but he's not making it very easy for a lot of places. And let alone, like I've told you, not going all in on the gambling and the weed, even if you're against it. I mean, it just makes so much money. And it's gambling and weed. It's not like Portland where they've, okayed heroin and coke. It's weed, which my Aunt Judy uses for pain medication, and gambling, which, you can choose to do or not. Does it destroy people's lives? Sure. But so does drinking and whatever else you got. Anything you do to excess, you just have to let the people and the chips fall where they may. But how much would that have helped this state if he was all in? And the way he's planning on doing the gambling, again, huge mistake. We've already talked about that at length. So, exciting that the places will be open at least at 25%. They should open to 50% so he can really make a difference in helping these restaurants. I have some more closures since it's a big restaurant podcast today that I just found out about today. Ironically, all of them, well, except two, I'm glad they're closing. I couldn't be happier. They just, memories of crap. This place, Ethos, closed. I think it's down the block from me. I couldn't stand that place. A Greek restaurant. Again, these are two places. I got two places that my friend Lee Maracas used to love to go to. Of course, Ethos, because they're Greek. Greek food stinks. Greek people are dumb, as you can see in Greece. They don't know how to do math. I know, that sounds horrible. But I hated this place. We went there for his dad's 80th. It's a stupid place. The only thing that was good about it was in the neighborhood. But I just thought it was dumb. I don't know. I'm glad it's closed. It's a stupid place. I think I had a fish there, which was awful. Yeah, right? It was like a fish like in The Sopranos in that episode where Tony had the fish and then he had a huge pasta meal after that. Remember? And then he had gas and diarrhea and stuff. It was something like that. It was awful. And the people there were just okay. It just, some of those Greek places just don't work for me. And another place called Le Colonial, which is on 57th Street, another dump where we had Lee Maracas's, did we have his engagement party or his mother's birthday? One of those stupid places where it was just a bad time. Yeah, that's right. It was his old girlfriend who was a bag of crap. Now he's married to somebody we all like. But his old girlfriend planned a party there, and it was just like not cool and not fun. And his old girlfriend was such a bag of crap that I think I just remember it as a bad place and not, I think, where his mom wanted to have her birthday, whatever. It was just all not cool. So good riddance on that place. I never went in there again. It's right by my house. This other place called Lucky Strike in Soho. I went in there a couple times with my friend Andrea, and it was okay. I don't hate it. I'm not upset. I mean, I wasn't, crazy about it, but it wasn't like a bad place. But there was something awkward about it. I'm sorry. I got to take a little sip. A little coffee action. But I say good riddance. I wasn't a big fan of it. Yeah, but I mean, not good riddance in the sense I'm sure the people would have liked, but all these places that have closed that I hate, you should have been, you should have worked it out, but you should have been kinder to people when they came in. You should have been nice, That's all I'm saying. Then people might do something for you, like we're going to talk about with Steve Olson in the West Bank Cafe. Politeness goes a long way in a restaurant and your customers. There's a place called Duke's, which is on 3rd Avenue and 37th. Went there multiple times. It wasn't a bad time every time, but the place sucked. Their wings sucked. And I'm mentioning that today because we're having the guy that made the greatest wings of all time in New York City on. Their wings sucked. Their food was subpar. Their drinks were stupid. And their place was rather dirty. It was an okay place to watch sports, but every time I was in there, I had a bad time. I went in there with a lot of people from work. So now it just brings up bad memories. But let's just say that's not even the case. That place sucked. It wasn't good. And, good riddance. Fuck that place. And the people in there weren't that great. It's like not, if I remember having a good time in a place, If I don't remember, if I've been in there multiple times and I can't remember, I mean, I remember being in there, but never having a great time, then I blame the place. So that's what you get. This place called Big Gay Ice Cream, which is the funniest thing. They had 2 locations. They have one in the West Village, but their East Village location closed. Big fan favorite. Now, I think I was in there once. It was okay. It's hilarious that it's called Big Gay Ice Cream. And apparently it's pretty good, and people really like it. So I'm sorry they closed, but I'd never been in there once in the East Village. I don't even know whether I've been in the one in the West Village. Maybe I have. I can't remember, but I don't want to be seen in there because, big gay ice cream. I'm not man enough to enter an establishment like that. But I will go see An American in Paris with my mother. Hello, everybody. How are you? And the last place, which I can't believe I forgot to mention in our show when we were talking about all the closures, was Baker Street. Baker Street. Are you ready for this, folks? Baker Street, I probably told you a couple times. It's in my neighborhood. And Baker Street, folks, was the place where they filmed our favorite movie, Cocktail, where Tom Cruise learns the ropes from Brian Brown. Can you make a red eye? Hey, ball keep. Can you make a red eye? Want to see a grown man cry? Don't forget it. He'll leave you before Valentine's Day. Yeah. Closed down thanks to the pandemic. Now, that place I really liked for obvious reasons that it was the place where Cocktail was filmed. Obviously. But it was nice. I liked the people that owned it. I liked the bartenders there. My friend Kenny and I would go there to watch Jets games. It was one of those places where on Sundays, I guess I could just tell you now, when they had those 9:30 in the morning games from London, they'd open up. They weren't supposed to open up, but they'd open up if you knew the people. They'd close the shades down, and you could sit there and actually drink while the football game was going on. So kudos to that place, and fuck you, coronavirus, for closing it. That place was a fun time and a great place, and let alone all the history. Now it's closed up. And anybody that buys it next, if it's going to be done anything, they'll probably destroy the outlay. I mean, the outlay was kept to the exact way it was from the movie when it was a TGI Fridays, even though they don't tell you that in the movie. But it's very clear that everybody in the movie is dressed in those pinstripes TGI Friday clothing. So it was a TGI Fridays, and then it turned into a couple of things before it turned into Baker Street. But, for Dave Juskow and Cocktail being probably one of his top 10 favorite movies of all time, that is a COVID tragedy, let alone, as we talked about, Lansdowne Road. And speaking of Lansdowne Road, who, again, I've done multiple ads for over the years because always a good time was had, always with me and my friend Chris Murphy going in there every Monday night. And then when it wasn't football season, just bringing in my friends and nobody. And as I tell Pat Hughes, the owner, everyone I bought in there, every time, they're like, boy, these are the best wings I've ever had. It was 100%. No one ever denied it. And unfortunately, now you guys don't get to reap the benefits of that, although he does have another place open, Scruffy Duffy's, but of course nothing's open. So now he's open a little bit, and we'll talk about that right now, actually. In fact, let's, who we have today. So I'm going to bring in Pat Hughes right now, and our really good friend who I have also talked about on the podcast, Sinem Gulturk. Oh my God, I can't pronounce her name. It's so difficult. But it's one of the twins who's in the Discover Card commercial, and I've told you that story multiple times how great these two are. And I have Cece on today, so I have the two of them on. They love each other. I mean, think about this. This is a restaurant owner and his waitress, and they've become more than that. They're friends. And you know me, everywhere I've worked, I'm still friends with the staff, and that's the kind of guy that Pat Hughes is, and you're going to see all about that coming up next on The Night Fly.
Hell, I was born here, and I was raised here, And dadgummit, I'm gonna die here.
The Night Fly with Dave Juskow.
Hello, everybody. I'm honored to have my guest this evening or this afternoon, whenever you listen or watch. I have Patrick Hughes, who is the owner and proprietor of what everybody knows who listens to this podcast, the greatest wings in the history of wings, Scruffy Duffy's, among other restaurant titles. And I call her Cece. Girl, pronounce your last name.
Gulturk.
Gulturk, yeah. That's too much of a tongue twister for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever called you by your last name before. I've always called you Cece. I don't even know if I pronounced it Sinem as your actual full name. So,
No, Cece's fine. I'll take it.
yeah, right. Of the Cece and Mel show. And of course, you know her as an unbelievable actress in commercials with her sister. And she joined us because I know her technically through Patrick, but then I know Patrick technically through her. So, well, actually, Patrick and I have never met before, although we probably have, since I used to be a participant of your restaurant for many, many years.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you. And you helped pay for this house that I'm now calling.
I'm so glad, Patrick. Let me just start my Scruffy Duffy story. I'm so excited to have you on. Anybody that has listened to my podcast for the past 6 years, and not just that, but any of my friends, my comic friends, they all know how much I've said that Scruffy Duffy's were the greatest wings in the city or that I've ever had. And I am talking about from the 90s when you had the original Scruffy Duffy's place, which was so weird because I went there in the 90s and it was great. And I remember finding this place because I went to Ithaca College in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I bought buffalo wings with me somehow here to Manhattan because, they didn't exist when we were kids.
Right.
So I guess they came out around the 80s. And then I found your bar thing in the 90s. In the early 90s, there was a place called Entourage on the Upper East Side I used to go to. And they had a Monday night wing special.
Vague sounds familiar. Vaguely.
It was on the Upper East Side. It was right across from the comic strip. So we all used to go there, after work. But then I found your place on the not the upper, it was Hell's Kitchen, but was it like the late 40, like 48th Street maybe?
Yeah, we were on 8th Avenue, diagonally across from McHale's, which was a famous old Broadway theater.
Right.
Stagehand, hangout, actresses. But we were on 8th Avenue between 46th and 47th from 1990 through February 2008.
Wow.
So,
you did go. Okay, you went all the way into the
hard years.
I didn't know you were there for 2008 because what I do remember is, first of all, like you did the wings the correct way that nobody seemed to get, and you put them in the bowl, and you had just the proper amount of blue cheese and celery. When people were just making up their own inventions on that, it was driving me crazy. And you had it just right, and it was a really great place, and it was so much fun. And then one day I went there because maybe we hadn't been there in a while, and the building was gone.
Yeah.
Like the entire building was gone. I'm like, what the hell happened? And there was I guess there was the internet, but I just didn't. Did it burn down?
No. Two interesting stories, right? This was an old gin mill. It was originally called the Bantry Bar. And my Uncle Frank suckered my father into buying it off him in 1981. And really, that was the last straw with my parents' marriage. My mother was livid that my father would be suckered into giving my uncle money for what was a complete dump on 8th Avenue. But be that as it may, it was rough back in the 80s on 8th.
Oh, yeah.
And the lease was up. The lease was terrible there. It was like it had a 30-day demolition clause. So if the landlord decided to sell the property for development, the building was crumbling. So it appeared like at any moment it could come down. Then we had 30 days to vacate the property.
Oh, so that's why it happened so quickly.
That's why it happened quickly. But the other end of it was that in 1990, when I took over the place from my parents, my sister and I, we got it because nobody else wanted it. like we renegotiated a lease. Nobody would sign a lease with a 30-day, hey, you got to leave clause with no compensation. So, and the other part of it, though, you worked your ass off because I always thought, because I'm inherently insecure, that this was my last month. That, wow, this is it. This is it. And my idea then, since I had put in about 20,000 of my own money, which really, I put my Honda Civic in a neighborhood where I knew it would get stolen. So I got 11,300 back from that. I had a moving truck. Yeah, it's true. It's not insurance fraud. I just casually parked it there where all the cars got stolen from. And I got the money back from that. I got the money back from this little moving truck I owned because I was moving furniture by day and bartending for the uncle who owned the store originally up at the Kinsale Tavern at 93rd and 3rd. So I was moving furniture, Husky Express Moving. We work like dogs for you. So I did bartending by night. And then the lease was up in my father's bar on 8th Avenue. And my sister and I went in there, took over, got rid of what was an old steam table up front. I don't know if you remember the Blarney Stones and the Blarney Rocks.
Right. They still have that at PJ Clark's. Yeah.
Well, I haven't been at PJ Clark's in 100 years, but, we changed the menu right away because the kitchen was that type of an operation. You need volume. Other than that, the food just sits out there and it's unhealthy and it goes bad and it's disgusting at the end of the day. So we said, we're just going to do wings. And
what made you think of wings, though? I mean, it's just like, why'd you come up with wings?
Well, it was simple. It was easy. Everybody else was doing wings. The kitchen staff thought I was crazy. The four Dominicans that had worked there for 10 years and had worked at my dad's original bar on 59th Street between Park and Madison. That was a Blarney Stone, official Blarney Stone.
Oh, and right. Yeah, I know that place.
Layboy Club, which was on 59th between Park and Madison. And he had that place from something like the 1971 through 81. But in those days, see, he got money. He got bought out to get out of that location. An insurance company wanted to come along and demolish the building, and they paid them big money in those days. It was something like 1.4 million that he split with his partner. Oh, wow, is right. You'll read about it in my book, how my father, my simple Irish father, squandered every penny on wine, women, and song.
Oh, Pat.
Bar. And buying that bar on 8th Avenue from my Uncle Frank.
Oh my God.
That's awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
It just, David, earlier you were saying how you just had the perfect amount of blue cheese and then the celery sticks and you just did it right. When I was a waitress for you, Pat, everyone always asked for carrots. I know this is such a silly thing, but it bothered me so much. But why didn't you ever also, because you know how some places give carrots and celery sticks?
Yes.
What made you decide to
those
not
places are losers.
They're losers.
But since you worked for them, most people throw the carrots and the celery back, right? They don't even, at most of the time. So it was just make things simple. We just stuck with but I actually think at the new Scruffy's, we started to do carrots and blue cheese, and celery, but I don't remember. I can't keep track.
Celery is the way to go.
Celery is the way to go. Now, I know it's your podcast, but I have to tell you the wings, right? Where did the wings come from?
Well, no, that's exactly what I want to know. Yeah. How did you get this amazing recipe?
It's incredible. Here I am, 26 years old. I'm on 8th Avenue. My sister's bartending by day. I'm bartending by night. And we're filling in the other shifts with all sorts of people, right? And we had a big dog in the bar for security. It was a big rock. And he was there for 10 years in that bar. And
what was his name?
His name was Riggs.
Oh.
Like the guy, like the Rottweiler in Lethal Weapon, maybe. But, we started off and we took the steam table, we left it there, and we just put wings out and blue cheese and celery. And some dude came in, bought the wings, and he said, shook his head no. And he grabbed me, he says, come with me. Where's your kitchen?
No.
Now, yes, this is exactly how it happened. And it shows you never know how you affect someone else's life. You never know whether it's something you say, whether it's something you do for somebody. This dude has no idea what he did for me. Took me to my own kitchen and he said, these wings are all wrong. I'm going to teach you how to make the wings. So he was probably in his 40s. And I said, come on. He goes, get a piece of paper and go get these ingredients. So I went to the supermarket and I got those ingredients, right? Came back and he showed me how to cook them. He said, fry them till they float. This is how you make the sauce. And this is the one secret ingredient that you will use in your sauce forever and ever. Amen. And I did it. And the rest is history.
And the funny thing is that guy turned out to be a ghost.
Incredible. I never saw him again.
Right. He didn't actually exist. He's not actually human. He just, I mean, that's like the funniest. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's
Pat never told us that.
Well, it's just so hard to believe that that's how it really happened, you know?
And you never saw this guy again. You didn't know his name or anything.
Didn't know his name.
Out of a movie.
And I never saw him again. So if those of you that believe in guardian angels or whatever, wasn't that the strangest interaction, right?
I believe there's no such thing as coincidences.
Yeah.
Also, I have to tell you something. Recently I'm not going to give a name, but somebody texted me and asked if the chefs that used to make your wings were available.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
To go to an unnamed place in New York to have a food truck to make those exact wings.
Oh, that little sneak. Well, listen.
I didn't say anything. I didn't write back.
That's the greatest form of
this is where my story also goes. So your place closes, the building just disappears. I'll never forget. I was there like, man, am I excited? And the building's gone. I mean, that never happens. Usually, there's a sign that says closed, but the building disappeared,
Yeah.
So then it's weird because this girl that I was like best friends with, we used to go there all the time. And she actually just died. It's a kind of a sad story. But I know. And we used to love her. We were wing buddies, on Mondays. But so she lived in Clinton, New Jersey. And I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but okay, so makes sense. So we go and there's a diner next to her house off Route 78 in New Jersey by the Pennsylvania border.
I know.
Okay, you do know. That says that on the menu, they serve Scruffy Duffy's wings. And I can't believe my eyes. And I'm like, how is this even possible that number one, they know about it out here, or number two, that Patrick, who I didn't know at the time, gave them the right to serve these wings. And when I had them, they were awful. They were not Scruffy Duffy's wings.
Good.
How can you explain that? I've been waiting to ask you this for, I guess, since 2008.
All right, here you go. I went to college in Florida for FIU outside of Miami for hotel and restaurant management. And I meet this spoiled brat, rich kid, Robert Backert. And I'm still friends with him today. Do you remember Bob Backert? Seen him? He was tall and handsome. He's still extremely handsome today. He's
I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of the opposite Brian Backer, who was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, who played Rat, who's the exact opposite of tall and handsome. Go ahead.
This fellow was his family owned a very big catering hall out in that area off Route 78 called the Schwäbische Alb, Austrian name. Don't ask me what it means. Then they turned it into the Springdale Lounge. And it was a catering hall. They were only opened on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for dinners, but they did weddings and German, all sorts of crazy things. And outdoor, a big corporate area. So they did big corporate picnics on their grounds. But then the dad died. And then the property became very expensive to maintain. Like, for example, just to put the seed down on all those acres, it was like $20,000 in seed every year, right? Just to keep the grass growing. So all these little expenses added up. They sold off the property to a developer.
Oh, no. Wait. Come back. You went off for a second. So you're back.
But anyway, Bob And when the family sold the family business, Bob and his wife bought this place on Route 7, Lamington, New Jersey. I think it was called the Lamington Pub.
Yes, I think so. It was right on 78 and it was near Clinton, New Jersey, where this girl was from.
Yeah. And I gave Bob the secret recipe. And I made the wings for him just as kind of I don't know if I was half thinking of expanding the brand or he did it because he was a friend or a combination of all of those things. And he put them on the menu and that's where you saw them.
Well, he didn't get it right.
Awesome.
I'll never forget because it was just like, I'm like, we're going to get, and then I think I told the waitress, she doesn't care. And I'm like, we're from the, and then I was like, what, these are awful. They were going nowhere. They might've been the worst wings I ever had. So to have your label on it was really making me angry.
Well, I have another little story. Well, Sinem, you know that the waitress doesn't care. You know that part.
Zero.
Well, actually, Sinem is, I don't know, she makes you think she cares, which makes her the best waitress or the best actress. So
no, that Pat, I do care. I do care.
She does feel like she cares. She's such a kind person, her and her sister.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, what a find to find a friend and a waitress like that. I mean, it's amazing, right?
I have so many friends that are my old clients, I guess you could say, or restaurant patrons that used to come in. They're still my friends.
Isn't that amazing?
Huh?
Client.
Oh my God, Pat!
Now look,
up. This is too early for that.
Shut up. Can I talk about, you mentioned your sister and then the chefs at Scruffy's or Lansdowne. Well, first of all, Melton must be extremely jealous that you're appearing on this podcast.
She did ask me why she wasn't invited.
Of course. And two, get ready for this one. I've been waiting all week.
I'm pretty sure he's going to say it.
No, John Rowan, who's now bartending at Annie's.
Yes, I love John.
Went into the kitchen and said to Cirillo, who's now working at Annie's, said, Cirillo, don't you miss the twins? And Cirillo said, well, Melton was nice.
Burn.
Wait a minute. Pat, that doesn't. Wait, Cirillo was at Lansdowne, though.
Yes.
I never worked with him.
Whatever. You must have.
Maybe that's why. He's angry that you never worked with him. So he's taking.
Do not ever repeat this story. I hope you edit this story out. I am the nicer twin. I am the nicer twin, the prettier twin, the funnier twin, all the better parts. And Pat, you know it.
Well, the worst part for me is
messenger.
I'm gonna go talk to him.
Now you've done it. The worst part is for me is I really am just bad. I can't tell you apart. I know you always thought I could, but I can't. I'm bad at all of that. I'm just so bad at that.
My father still can't tell us apart. No, I'm serious.
That's really funny.
One more wing story.
Oh, I have a bunch of wing stories, so go ahead.
You know the guys over at Hibernia on 50th, just off 9th. Well, 2 of the 3 partners worked for me at Scruffy's, Sean Berger and Aidan Fogarty. And when that store was available, when the original Scruffy's was closing, I did have the opportunity to sort of scoop it out from underneath them, but I did not because that would have been bad karma, right? So they took one of my cooks over there to, of course, do the Scruffy Duffy wings because he knew how to do it. But I know, just like the Lamington Pub out there off Route 78, and I know that these guys would not have taken the time to go and find the secret ingredient and to use it consistently. But recently, now they're successful and their wings are good. But recently, I overheard Sean and Dee Dee when we were opened, they were at Scruffy's and Dee Dee leaned into Sean Berger at the bar and said, you see, Sean, our wings aren't Scruffy wings. These are the right wings. So even with the copying, they couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, I already know what the secret ingredient is, so I'm just going to say it. It's love.
Ah,
And it's very clear.
Oh,
It has to be because
I
you
was-
have such passion for it. What were you going to say, Sinem?
I was going to ask what the secret ingredient
Oh, we
was.
can't ask that. That's not fair. I'm going to ask him off
We
here.
have to try. We have to try.
I know, as a journalist, I'm supposed to try, but I was leaving that till later. I was going to try and get it out secretly somehow.
Okay,
but,
you try again later, though. You should. You should.
well, I was hoping, right, it'd be like, I'm going to say what the secret ingredient is. No, don't tell everybody it's mayonnaise.
right.
No, I'm just kidding.
If I told you what the ingredient was, people would still be too lazy to go and get it.
I have
Right.
a feeling it's vinegar.
Oh, interesting.
How dare you? It's apple cider
Yeah.
vinegar. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, everybody
Filter.
knows.
But wait, so the story continues. So then you open Lansdowne after
Lansdowne was opened in 2006. And when Scruffy's closed, since I hadn't been spending any time over there and I had a partner running the show over there and an excellent manager, Colleen, didn't she hire you?
Yeah, she did.
Oh.
She hired Mel and I.
She did. It was awesome, right? That was you. You guys were like the best hires ever.
Oh
You
my
know?
God, that's a fact. And now
Yeah.
I'm just going to go, since we're talking about the twins, I will just tell you that what made Lansdowne, which you don't own, you didn't own, you got rid of after what, and then moved over to the other places.
Oh, what happened was
Let me hear that first.
such a beast of a place and never really profitable. As busy as it was at times, the overheads were just too much. The staff, it was expensive. Everything about that space was expensive and it was difficult. We had a few difficult years at the beginning. Then we had a few decent years, but then things really started. Like the real estate taxes went through the roof. I went from spending zero on real estate taxes to, $100,000 a year because a standalone building, the taxes are passed along to the tenant. We pay everything. So it's like you're just about catching your breath towards the end of the year, and then bam, the real estate bill comes.
Right.
And it's,
Well, that crushed a lot of people around that in the 2010s area. That crushed a lot of bars.
yeah. But we really, I had Lansdowne sold just prior to the shutdowns in March. The deal was, I had a signed deal. Well, it wasn't signed. It didn't have to be, but I had the deposit and I had brought a buyer in to buy the building from the landlord. And he was going to give me a few dollars for my stuff and just to get out, right? Which was great. Something would have been better than nothing. But then with the pandemic struck, the deal fell through. And my buyer came to me and said, hey, do you think the landlord will give me a break? He wanted like $500,000 off the purchase price of the building. And I said he should, because we're heading into a dark period here. So I called my landlord, and I was sort of playing broker, unofficial broker. And the landlord said, oh no, he's trying to take advantage of the situation. I said, Dick, please, you got to make a deal. For the sake of both of us, just make the deal, get it done. This is going to be, what's coming is awful. And he refused to budge, and the whole deal fell through. So then I just handed back the keys to the landlord, and I said, I'm out. And I lost my deposit, but I was so relieved to be out of it. Oh, it was a stress every week to just try and make the payroll every week for years.
But you, when you owned Lansdowne, you also bought the Hellcat Annie's, and there was another place before you put
What
together.
happened? There was a fire at that bar where Hellcat Annie's is. Then before that, it was the Pony Bar.
The Pony Bar, that's right. That's where everybody said, oh, the twins moved to the Pony Bar.
Yeah. Well, that was a famous bar. That was the original. That was the
I thought he saw a mouse.
I know.
that was the original headquarters for the Westies, right?
Wow.
And it used to be called the White House. So Mickey Spillane was the head of the Westies in the 70s, and that was their spot.
Oh.
Then it became, from the White House, it was called the Jukebox Cafe. Then it was the Clinton Grill. Then it was 10th Avenue Lounge. Then there was a second fire. Whoever owned it prior to me, I'm not pointing any fingers. Second fire. So the landlords put the space up for rent. And my partner at the time at Lansdowne was a big craft beer guy.
Yeah.
And he's Pony Bar up on 75th and First. So his idea was to do this craft beer thing, which I was like, no way is this going to work. But it worked, and it really took off, and it was booming for like 5 years.
So why'd you have both places? Did you have the wings in one place or something, and then the craft beer in the other? You had two places, right?
It's just a craft, it was all crafty and like cheese plates and different sort of that sort of, I don't know what's the name of that food. What do you call that kind of food, Sinem?
Like charcuterie boards, like those kind of things.
Yeah, whatever was that there.
Artisanal, or is that what it's called? Or crudité?
Yeah, it was like grilled cheese. It was just a little different type of bar food and the craft beer, and it was good for a while. We caught the wave of the craft beer thing, you know, and all of our regular beer salesmen started to grow beards, and people beard liquid, like, hey, we got some good liquid. I mean, it drove me absolutely nuts. I mean, I couldn't.
Much so that Pat then became an ambassador, or what was it? You were declared something from.
That's right. That's
Pat,
right.
What is it called?
Well, I am a true friend of the crowd.
They came to his bar. I think they came to Hellcats, and they declared that he's a true friend of the crown. Like the whole Bud Light team came. Dilly.
Like the Budweiser people?
Yes.
That's amazing.
When my partner and I split up because we were having differences over the future.
Was that the partner, the tall guy with the glasses and the gray hair?
No, that was Sinem's art.
George.
That was George.
Oh.
I love George. I still hang out.
George came with me from the original Scruffies.
Yeah.
And George is awesome. George and I always, George and I have been in and out of our lives for many, many times over the years. George was a customer at the original Scruffies, and he used to come in with his workmates and play chess. And
that's what he looks like.
Play Golden Tee video game, and he was around the corner. And they worked at a bar up on the Upper West Side called it wasn't Elaine's. It was called. It was there. He was a waiter for 21 years, and then he was driving by the bar. I was working the front door, and George was driving by on his bicycle. And I said, George, what's up? Where have you been? Oh, the restaurant closed. I lost my job. I said, what have you been living on? He goes, $5 a day. I get a little bit of rice. I said, oh God.
Oh boy.
Go put the bike away. I'll give you $20 an hour to stand at this door. And that's how I started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
What's that?
He was a security guy. He was security.
Yeah. The doorman. He used to sleep in the doorway. He didn't do anything real. But
well,
he was
the guy that played chess is the person taking care of all the bad guys.
It's always the quiet guys that are the most lethal. But so the thing with Lansdowne, which was the greatest place for me. I mean, I was there every Monday night, as Cece knows, with my redheaded friend. We'd come to watch Monday Night Football all the time, and then of course year round I would come in and hang out at the bar because they were the best wings. And I told everybody. I mean, everybody. And I always want. And the best part about it is everyone I told. It never disappointed. I'm 100%. Anybody that came in, they were like, these really are the best wings. Like nobody, it never disappointed until one day when we were there about, I guess 2 years ago, where they clearly changed the recipe.
Interesting.
And that new owner, Doug, I think, or manager, he was a manager, Doug. And he told me, and I said, has the recipe changed? Something's different. And he goes, I was actually in the kitchen when they changed the recipe. So something happened.
I don't
think you were a part of it back then.
No,
so
I was there, but
it was very disappointing.
Look, we didn't change the recipe, but sometimes it doesn't take long for the kitchen to stray from what the recipe is. It's like it just slips away, and before you know it, you're biting into a wing that doesn't.
Well, I felt like you had these other places that you were more concentrating on, and and then Lansdowne was just left, like you said, where the secret ingredient, seemed to be gone.
We always say that,
and it was very noticeable for me.
we always used to joke around with Pat and say, you know, us at Lansdowne, we're just the redheaded stepchildren here.
Well,
Remember, Pat?
people say that, but the truth is, since the original Scruffy's has closed, I have not made any money in this stupid business. And
Oh,
Tough.
why? Look, I'm living off my savings from the original bar, which was a hit. And I always saved my money and I put the money away for my kids' colleges. And I'm fine. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you that these bars have been a life suck. And really, once my partnership broke up and then I was going to be stuck with these 3 businesses, holy Toledo. I've been trying to squirm out of it for years because I am wasting my talents there. As much as you love the wings, I'd rather be doing cartoons with Cece.
oh, that's right. Pat got into doing cartoons. Have you seen them, Dave? Or no?
No.
Oh,
You mean animated cartoons?
You should do a whole nother podcast just about his cartoon work. It's incredible.
Like you're talking about animation, not just
Yes,
written
animation.
cartoons.
He
well, I
started doing these animations.
put the twins in the cartoon, so I'll send you that link to the one where the twins are in a couple of my cartoons.
I'd love
so
it.
incredible. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Well,
His
wait,
friend-
I just want to tell this story about Cece and how amazing Lansdowne was, and clearly, if for one thing, you know, it's not just the wings, but it was that place, and you know, it's kind of like you said, the place is you know, it's not, you know, it's not that clean or whatever. It's like it's a place, you know, and it's a place, and everybody was always happy, and your staff was amazing. I mean, your hiring process. I don't understand how these girls could be so energetic and happy all the time, cleaning up people's disgusting bones. You know, I mean, it's like, and they just always had a smile on their face, and they were always polite to the customers, even the jerk ones. And it's fast, and it wasn't just them. There was other staff there that was amazing too. They all seemed to enjoy working there, which, you know, is unbelievable. Like I said, when you're serving people wings, you know, because it's gross. But so I'll never forget. And I think, Cece, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like when the girls made the Discover commercial, and you know, everybody was always rooting for them. We knew they were actresses, but they're waitresses. Yeah, awesome sauce. So the day I went in, I remember it could have been Cece, it could have been Mel, and they were grabbing all their regulars by the arm and bringing them into the bathroom and showing them the video of it. It was so exciting but if you're a boy, you're just like, oh my God, what's happening here? This is it. You know, like she really likes me. And then it's funny. It's like, this is how much people like you guys, CC, is that like, even though the guys were like, oh my God, this is happening, whatever. And then you're like showing this the video, you're like, oh, okay, they're going to show us this. But then the joy of how happy everybody was for you.
Yeah.
Were this, then it changes that, like, oh well, all right, great for, you know, whatever. But then after everybody was happy for you, I was there another night, and I'll never forget this in my entire life. And I've talked about it on the podcast multiple times. The commercial aired while they were working, and it was amazing. It still makes me cry when I think about it, because everybody after was applauding like a goddamn movie.
Pat, you weren't there, right?
What?
Pat wasn't there, right? You weren't
No,
there.
I wasn't there. But listen, go ahead.
I remember I was in the front of the bar where the high tops are, and I was like clearing tables, and Mel was doing back bar all the way at the end. And then somebody said, and you know, there's a gazillion TVs at Lansdowne, there used to be. And someone said, is that you? While I was cleaning their wings. And I was like, huh? And I look up and I'm like, and I dropped the tray on their table, and I went, Melton! Screamed at the back of the bar, and she screamed back to me, and we ran to each other. And then we were watching, and then afterwards, everybody
applauded. I was so happy to be there.
I can't believe that as an actor, like, you know, you can't wait for you to see yourself on the big screen, but to see yourself on 17 big screens and then have an audience or all these fans
that never happened
for you.
Because that's what made you guys so amazing, is that you made the commercial. A lot of people would be like, I don't need this job anymore. We're going to be you're still working, you know? So then, everybody was just like, these girls are amazing.
And then my Super Bowl commercial came out, and Pat made flyers and put them on the table.
Is that the Coca-Cola one?
No, that was a different one. Now I'm bragging.
Oh.
This one was an actual Super Bowl commercial with Keegan-Michael Key for Rocket Mortgage, and Pat was my biggest fan. Like, he printed out these flyers of my face. He used color ink on me, and then he put them on the tables, and he said something like, "Congratulations to Sinem on her first Super Bowl." I'm so grateful for Pat and all the places that you had. Really, it like shaped who I am in my life.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, Pat, you must be a very special person that the staff really enjoyed working at a place. It's very rare, when they're all not behind your back going like, what a fucking place this is. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's always people.
No, we weren't.
I never saw that. I'm not, obviously you weren't, but there was other. I met a girl I went out with for a year there only 2 years ago. This girl, Audrey. And I mean, it's like, I thought everybody was nice there, and they all, I mean, certainly there's always going to be the couple that are angry at something, but it did seem like they enjoyed working there. They enjoyed the ownership and were treated fairly, which is, sometimes unbelievable in the restaurant industry, as you know.
Sometimes difficult. But
go ahead.
Fun. I was always around like Casper. I'd come in very early in the mornings and get my work done. And, I could work there 24/7. There's always something to do in this rotten business. But generally say, what's your schedule like? And I said, well, my schedule is I leave when the first customer shows up because I just can't take it. It's like the customers have a giant shop vac to my soul. So customer, Dave, that you'd probably be one that I would get a boost out of. There's 9 others that are sucking the life genes out of me that I just can't, I have to eliminate that stress from my life. When the people say, what happened to the French fries? What happened to the tots? You should do this. You should do that. Like a whole day of you should do this and that. Or you got happy hour. Why don't you do an industry? Like,
Again, I don't even know how like CC would take. I remember there was one time we were in there, some improv group came in and they were so disrespectful and uncool. And these guys just keep an even keel somehow. I just don't even understand. Because, Pat can't even take it, CC. So it's it's amazing that you were able to.
I can't. Even at the original Scruffy's, my schedule was like the bartenders would know when a certain interaction with a customer would occur, and then maybe I'd walk away and they would just say, good night, Pat, see you tomorrow. Because they would know that I was toast.
But look at you in the sense that you hired people that you trusted so much that you could walk away whenever that happened. I mean, that doesn't happen a lot either. You're just good at
the business suffers when management and ownership is not there. As you saw with the wing change, things suffer, really do. It's like your mother's favorite. I described the business like the sauce on a Sunday, right? Oh, I can't wait to go home and we're going to have your grandmother makes this great Italian sauce or whatever. And it's a dash of this, a pinch of that. And you could get away with not a dash of this. And the next Sunday comes along and you don't have a pinch of that. But then after a few weeks, like, oh, grandma's sauce sucks.
So
and that's how I feel about the business. Like you have to be there. You have to be on top of it. You have to have a passion for it, which.
I'm so happy for you that you were able to, you feel less stressed now, right? I know you're trying to, or you're selling.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second. So you have, first of all, let me just also say that I finally went to the new Scruffy Duffy's because that had only opened 2-3 years ago.
Oh, no, that was just September of 2019.
Oh, okay.
Act of a desperate middle-aged bar owner to salvage the Kielbasa pizza beer idea, which, that stupid name was my idea. We were trying to hop on the whole, legalization of marijuana thing. Like these college towns have these mellow mushroom bars. So it was similar to that. So we made up this thing like Kielbasa wood is an exotic wood from the islands whose leaves closely resemble that of the cat plant. The whole we tried too hard on that one. I didn't even want that space, but my partner at the time was worried that somebody was going to open up right next door to the successful Pony Bar and eat our lunch. So it's probably never a good idea to open a business for those reasons. Yeah. But you learn. And then I said, to hell with this. I'm going to change it. I'm going to repaint. I had all the old scruffy signage in storage. I said, let me go repaint the sign, rebrand this place, and make it more of a bar. The lease at Lansdowne was running out, or I was selling it. So I was like, okay, Lansdowne will close. I'll be back to having these two very manageable bars, which really, they're easy to manage for me. So it's fine. Whether I sell them or not, they're easy to manage. Lansdowne was a beast and it was difficult to manage. The bills were just made it impossible to make money and it was life sucking. But anyway, so we changed I changed it back to Scruffy Duffy's in September of 2019.
Okay.
6 months of that, and then we had the lockdown.
Right. So I went there in, I guess, November when I found out that it existed again. I was totally excited. And the wings were terrific. Again, I just sat at the bar by myself, and it was a fun time. I think I was there. It was a trivia night or something, the bingo card or whatever it was. I was like,
let's pop in and see what Pat's up to.
Phil, what's up? Where have you been?
Oh, I've been here and there. We were walking by and saw your new Broadway Singo poster.
Phil, this is gonna be huge. Mondays in November. Show tunes only. Do me a favor. Put an ad in that magazine of yours. I gotta get the word out.
Will do. Cheerio. And Pat, love the outfit.
Was that what it was? Yeah, right. Singo, right.
Pat's an incredible host. He can do so many things. He does cartoons. He's an act. He can. Did you know he can sing? Did you know Pat sings?
Well, I assumed he seems to be some form of journeyman. That he's a Renaissance man.
People came just for Pat so they could be in his presence while he hosted Singo.
So I guess I was there. I guess I saw you host it, and it was so much fun. And I was planning on, bringing everybody back. I kept telling these girls that I knew, and I'm like, you got to go there. It's fun. They have the Singo. I took a picture of it and I sent it to everybody, and then, all this stuff happened. So, so that, what were we gonna say?
Prior to the shutdown, I had gotten rid of most of the furniture. I brought back the pool table. I got the basketball machine in, moved the dartboard, added a jukebox, got the what do they call it? The big buck game shooter,
Right. Yeah.
I brought that back, and then the shutdown. So it's like,
I know that place would have been my new definite place I was going to go to once a week.
So I know it'll be awesome if I do reopen, or it'll be awesome if I do sell it,
So the plan is, and this is how, I saw it in the paper. You want to sell. What were we going to say?
And he was on Fox News, and he was interviewed. Yeah, he's famous. Go ahead.
Right.
TV Yamamoto, Fox Business Monday, Fox Business Tuesday, WPIX, Fox 5, Reuters.
But the reason all of this is happening because you want to sell your two places with Bitcoin.
Or any cryptocurrency.
Fascinating. Any cryptocurrency, right?
Either Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Ethereum, yeah.
Maybe one of the others I could,
possibly.
Not
the Dodge, because that's unreliable right now. But
I would take
what made you think that was the plan? It's so interesting. It was like a week. There was a week where that football player on the Panthers said he would accept his salary in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And then next week you were like, I want to sell these bars in cryptocurrency. And now you haven't heard about it again. Like you two guys made the news, and then it goes back and forth with crypto.
Right. Well, I'll have you know that I didn't know about that guy. I thought it was my own idea, right?
Right.
I knew it was just an idea. I knew it was going to get attention, right? So when I posted it on Facebook with the original flyer, and I told a few of my close friends, oh my God, I got a great idea. Wait till you see. And some of my friends were like, what? I said, oh, wait till you see how this blows up. I knew it was good, right? So then it blew up. A customer, a new guy in town, came to me right away, saw it on Facebook, and he said, look, I was a reporter at the Boston Globe for 20 years, working the craft beer, food and beverage scene. He goes, I know this story is going to be big. I said, I know it's going to be big. Because I contacted the New York Post and I'm going to do a story. So the Post they were the first ones. He did a story.
That's where I read it.
And then, then they had like a video. They put their New York Post video on. And from there, it took off. But the idea behind it, when I first priced the bars at, I think, 30 Bitcoins.
And also, I love that you want to sell, you demand, I'm selling both. No
yes.
Oh, like that too.
You don't need hell no.
You got to buy both. Yeah.
I tell you what, it bothers me just to pay the drive through the toll. It bothers me that I'm like, money. I don't make any money in these bars for years. Not since July of 2017 have I made any money from these bars.
Wow.
But oh my God, poor Pat. But oh my God, get me back on track. Oh, the idea. Yeah. I priced it at 25 Bitcoins, and Bitcoin had just spiked to 30,000. So it was all over the paper. The whole world was talking about Bitcoin. And I thought, oh, it spiked to 30. I'll kind of leave myself a cushion in case it plunges back to 15. No, it goes up to 40. Yeah. So now I should outrageous. Really, I would take peanuts for the bars. I just want, the truth is, I just want to be relieved of this aspect of my life and move on. And I know there's something of value there for the right person or people is something good there. And I hate to just walk away from it and leave it because I know it's of value. But getting back to the Bitcoin thing, I don't even know if I could sell the bars for Bitcoin officially. I don't even know what.
How that works, right?
And he said, you know what? This might work. Let's just run with it.
Who did you ask? You got cut out.
Yeah, my liquor license attorney.
Oh.
Hey, Terry, you might see this in the news. He says, hey, go for it. You can always work out the logistics later. And even if a regular buyer, I might say, give me 1 Bitcoin for each bar just for the, to mark the.
That's awesome.
Occasion,
So have you got any offers from Bitcoin?
Not Bitcoin offers, no cryptocurrency offers, but I have a few serious inquiries. Some people are interested.
Well, that's also what that did by saying this, crazy idea, which, 10 years from now won't be the craziest. You'll be a genius. It sounds a little crazy now because you're the first. It still brings attention to it so you can get the serious buyers in, so you can, get a different array of buyers that you might have thought of. Yeah.
Regular bar and restaurant person at this time, I know they're in survival mode, so they don't have the money. And the fact that some of my in my little circle, that nobody's interested in my places shows me that they are all scrambling to survive and they're not looking to expand. So I will expand my little, okay, if these guys don't have it, let's see if I can really splash it out there and see if I get anybody interested, But what came out of this was the most important thing that came out of this is my 18-year-old daughter, who I have been telling for years how cool I am. When I appeared on the CNBC page or Fox News page with Elon Musk. And then to me in a news video last week that Al Jazeera did with Elon Musk and Tesla and Pat Hughes and Scruffy Duffys. My life is complete.
Wow. That's epic.
Is she so excited?
Of course. Even my son in Boulder, Colorado, who's at the university, he's at the university out there. I sent him the link. He never, ever responds to anything I say to him. Wow. So cool. So
that's so awesome. That's fantastic. Right now you
can retire, Pat. That's it.
Yeah. Once you get your 18-year-old daughter to think that you're cool, that is a form of retirement then.
Oh my God.
Good.
But
it's
even my wife was so excited. She She came to the bed for marital relations after the first. I'm married 24 years to her. It felt like, it was like, I said to her, I said, whoa, this is like my annoying sneaking into the bedroom.
That's so funny.
No.
Well, this sped things along because the business had changed over the last few years in so many ways. White collar people are not going out to pubs and bars because they're afraid to say something to the people they work with. Can't say the wrong thing, can't drink with somebody that works for me. The blue collar people can't come in anymore. They used to come in for, lunch, afternoon, and after work. They're gone. And people are meeting online and sexting and texting online. And that's it. They don't even have to go out to the bars anymore, bar hopping or, the whole thing has changed. And you try to get the bartenders to talk to the customers. And really, all the customers have their heads in their phones.
Yeah, the phones, it's awful. I really try hard. I'm in my 50s and I really try hard to not sometimes just sit at the bar, maybe read a book and not be on my phone. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it is really kind of sad, the phone thing. When I think about, if you're on a date or something and how people just keep checking their phones, there was no way out. When you were on a date, you just sat there and you took it and you went for it all. And, it just, it is kind of bad. I really try hard to put my phone away. If I'm out to dinner, I put it in my pocket and I don't look at it unless I'm waiting for somebody to arrive.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
wish more people would do that. It's true though, Pat. I guess I didn't really think about that when I was working. Even towards the end, people really were just like everybody on the table were on their cell phones.
Yeah.
When I first started at Lansdowne, it wasn't even like that then.
Lansdowne was the perfect place I'd put my phone away because there was no way I was going to touch my phone after eating all those wings.
Right.
So, I don't know any of those people that were on their phones while they're eating chicken wings. You don't even want to know from. You never want to shake their hands.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yes, that's true.
But guys, I thank you so much for coming on today. This has been so wonderful. You've answered a lot of my questions. I got to tell the story of that amazing night at Lansdowne with Cece and everything. So wait, Cece, what do you have your sister and you were doing a YouTube show for a while, but it seems like that hasn't happened in a while. I mean,
we wrote a pilot during the pandemic about us, and it's being pitched right now to like some networks and like Netflix and other places. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, you guys deserve a show because not only are you good actresses, as we've already seen, but you're nice people and you work hard.
Thank you.
If this podcast has shown anything, it's how hard you work. That you're doing commercials, but you're still waitressing. You don't take anything for granted. Just like old boss here.
Look them up on TikTok. They do fun TikToks.
Oh yeah, I don't.
It told me I have to do TikTok. But yeah, other than that, we're auditioning, voiceover, commercial, TV, film, everything. We're doing it all.
That's good.
Making non-sanctioned appearances in some disgruntled bar owners' cartoons.
Yeah. So Pat, tell me, what are those cartoons? Where can I find them?
Well, I have a channel. It's Scruffy Duffy's. I don't know what it's called. I haven't perfected it yet. But one of the things that I'm going to be doing going forward, I'm going to do, I don't know what the word is. You guys are in the business. I'm going to produce and do and create an animated series about the disgruntled Hell's Kitchen bar owner that's still old guy that's trying to stay relevant, right?
And where will you pull from that? I mean,
I'm going to put it on and I'm going to build my followers. And during this thing, I told you, Cece, that my idea was, right?
Oh, you never did.
Oh, I never did. I'm going to open each episode, like, remember, you don't remember, but Dave might, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. So
Marlon Perkins.
Yeah, I'll sit in front of the brick wall, maybe at Scruffy's, and I'll give like tonight's episode in context.
Oh,
and be a video episode. And I will flash back to the early days where the wings were created. That'll be an episode. I'll flash back to a time
watching that.
where I met my wife at the bar and how that all went down.
Oh,
And-
Pat, do it. Please
I
do
would
it.
love that.
Yeah.
That'd be
So I
fantastic.
know it's going to be a hit. I just need to be free of this thing, you know.
Oh, you will, Pat. You remind me of Michael Keaton in Night Shift. You're an idea man. You know. You're
Oh.
I mean,
You know, I look a little like him, actually, you know. But they said, I've heard that before. But anyway.
well, you do have nice eyes.
Oh.
Okay.
Does. He does.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But it. Oh, you know what? I have to tell you this one thing. That stupid Anchor Bar that opened on 57th Street. Okay, good. I'm so glad you have that reaction so far. So when that opened, I was so excited because this is the original bar where they invented the buffalo wing, and it was finally coming to New York. They were the worst wings I've ever had in my life. They had no idea what they were doing. I called the manager over and I said, "What the hell is this?" I was so angry. And and it was overpriced, and they put in a gratuity for just me and my friend. They added in a gratuity.
Oh my God.
And because obviously it was on 57th Street, they were expecting tourists, and it closed immediately before the pandemic because everyone knew it sucked.
And
Wow.
they used the little wings. They didn't even use the jumbo wings. It was so expensive. I didn't go there, but I checked the menu. I knew they were
angry.
They couldn't make it.
I was so excited for it, and they were awful. Everything about them was really bad. In fact, I think they were the old with that bar I used to go to. It might have been Kennedy's.
Yes.
They had that back room and stuff. I used to like that place, Kennedy's, you know. And when I would judge wings, I judge them through, they have to be like Scruffy Duffy's being the top. So I'd go to places where they had wings. I'm like, these aren't too bad. And everybody would ask, well, where are the best wings? I'm like, well, I can tell you, they're Scruffy Duffy's. And I was at the Comedy Cellar, they make very good wings, which right now, because, Scruffy Duffy's was closed, was I considered the best wings, but they're totally different. They're not buffalo wings. They're Pluck You wings. They're
Hey, listen, I have to go now.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wrap. You know the buses when you can see out, but when they wrap the bus with an advertisement, right?
Yeah.
And when you're in the bus, you can see out, right? I'm doing that. I'm wrapping my outdoor dining. Even though I hate the business, wrapping it with 5. The windows are going to be wrapped with Scruffy Duffy's wings advertisements, the flavors, the dog holding a chicken by the neck. I'm actually leaving this podcast and going to pick up the wrap, and that's my weekend project.
Well, we're going to come visit, right, Dave? We'll come visit and have some wings there.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Next week.
Oh, can we go? Oh, that's right. It's open today.
Yeah.
We'll come by, Pat.
Well, but the dining thing that I built stretches across both bars, and it's heated and it's awesome and it's busy every night. So
really, so we can't go inside. Even
you can go Canny, but it's so small there. I think we're only allowed 18 people.
Yeah,
but you can. You'll see. The outside is warm. I'm telling you.
I would love to. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, good. Pat, thank you so much. It's so nice to meet you. Cece, it was so good to see you again. You look amazing. Actually, you both look amazing, if I could be honest. But thank you so much for taking your time today.
Thanks for having
this awful time. Yeah, no problem.
Let me know. Reach out if you're coming by, and I'll make sure I'm around.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that's my favorite thing to do, to make sure that you're definitely going to be there. Yeah. All right, I'll see you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
The Night Fly with Dave Juskow.
I mean, how much fun are those guys, right? He's great. She's, so adorable and awesome. How are you not going to love a guy that doesn't mind having a show tune night in this bar? So, he's using the computer animation. He's just starting out. He's doing the animation, so it's the computerized voice. But he told me he has other ones with regular voiceovers. I told him I'd help him if he wants to put in the real voices or anything. But I don't know. I thought it was cute. If you're watching the video portion, it's a lot more cuter than the computer audio portion. But I just thought it's fun. He's a fun guy, and she's obviously a delight and probably should be working a lot more. and hopefully her and her sister will. I see no reason for them to be not huge. They're both adorable and fun and just great people. And you don't find that too often in actresses. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, hello, let's pop in and see what's going on. That's the old name of the bar, which is now Scruffy Duffy's. But I think we're going to go to Hellcat Annie's soon, maybe right after I tape this podcast. I mean, if I have a chance to have some really decent chicken wings, I'll take it every time. But anyway, yes, a great story and a tragic story at the exact same time, all thanks to this lovely pandemic. Speaking of which, running a restaurant in New York City is truly a thankless job. It is very rare and difficult to make money in the restaurant business. You almost have to ask yourself why anyone would want to do it. It's so tough, and what could be worse than this time happening, something nobody ever expected. It's quite unbelievable and a great story for the year or so that we've had. Yeah, I keep thinking, what when my friends who have all owned restaurants, when we were younger, and these great restaurants, I mean, it's just funny. It's just, I think it's a thing you do in your 20s or 30s if you can do it. And, because it's exciting. And then you realize, then you have to make a choice, probably around 36, where you're like, all right, am I doing this for the rest of my life, or am I doing something else? Like my friend Mitch. In fact, I should have had him on today. Maybe we'll talk to him next week. He's called in a couple times just when we've had the call-in shows. Mitch Silverberg, used to own 2 or 3 of the best restaurants ever. The most fun times were had by all. And then he got out, because running a restaurant is almost impossible. There's probably only a handful of people we could have on that have had 30 to 40-year careers in restaurant. I mean, you really got to go all in, because you do make a choice at a point in your life saying, can I continue to do this? There's nothing harder, I think, than making a profit when owning a restaurant. In fact, the best thing you could probably do is sell it and move on and buy something else, and then try and work that one into a place that you can sell for profit. But yeah, when you're there, the cost and the rents here in New York City are just, they're ridiculous. You know that. My friend Vincent couldn't keep his going because they tripled the rent. They tripled the rent in that Murray Hill neighborhood. How's anybody supposed to keep up? I mean, yeah, he was paying a low price, for that area, but triple? It's almost saying, we want you out, and we're doing something else with this place. But now New York City has learned a lesson. Perhaps maybe this thing is good in that sense where, things will go down a little bit. Maybe it'll even everything out and be almost fairly normal, at least for New York City for a period of time. Maybe this is the kick in the pants everybody needed, because they were just jacking up the prices so much so that things got out of control. Anyway, that is our show for today. I hope you liked it. If you're watching the video portion of this, it means you are a Patreon subscriber, and I appreciate that. If you do want to see more of the video portion of the podcast, please subscribe to my Patreon page. It's Patreon Dave Juskow. That is all things Juskow. If you're at the Calico level and above, you got the video podcast, and then the video podcast comes out a month later on YouTube, which, of course, our interview with Wendy Liebman will come out this week, being that it is exactly a month. Also, if you're at the $10 level, you can ask questions on the Comedy Cellar show. You can, or give you a shout out or whatever. And some of the bigger guests that we have, like an Amy Heckerling or Colin Quinn, you can ask questions if you feel like doing so. Otherwise, I just thank you for your patronage on the Patreon page. It really means a lot to me, and I appreciate all of you that do it. Well, we will go back to our regular audio format only next week, which I know everybody loves. But I want to thank my guests today who were really terrific. Pat Hughes, CC. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you got a little insight on what it is like to own a restaurant in Manhattan, especially these days. And I'll see you next time on the legendary Nightfly podcast with me, Dave Juskow. Good night, everybody.